Hello, hello, howdy, welcome back to ABTG, the only channel on the internet where we try to figure out whether something is absolute bullshit or true greatness or something somewhere in between. Today, a bit late, granted, I want to talk to you about Justice League, but not Justice League 2017, the theatrical cut. No, we're talking about the Snyder Cut, that's right. ZACK SNYDER'S Justice League from 2021. I'm really not interested in giving a recap here. It's basically the same movie, but with some extended scenes. The general premise is the same. The villain from space needs 3 MacGuffins to make one big MacGuffin that can then terraform the planet into the place that he wants it to be, except there's a few added elements to that in the sense that the bad guy is working for another bad guy. So let's get right into this. This isn't gonna be my longest review because I don't really know what to say, except that Zack Snyder's Justice League is a vast improvement over Justice League. It's a much better version of the film. It's still not one of the best things ever made, and it probably won't be a superhero film that I will ever necessarily revisit. And yes, the 4-hour runtime has to do with that, although I must say the film does go by surprisingly fast for a 4-hour thing. When it comes to the acting, I still have my problems with it. I don't think the performances in either of the versions are that good. The dialogue is somewhat better in the sense that it has more depth to it. It's much more serious, and all of the random ass jokes that were added to the theatrical version on in this, so that's a plus.
Brunch. Like, what is brunch? You wait in line for an hour for essentially lunch. I mean, I don't know.
Visually speaking, I feel like the movie got a bit of an upgrade. The overall quality of the VFX is better. There's also a few scenes that aren't quite, as, I suppose, green screened, and there were some effects that were removed because they didn't need to be there in the first place. But it's still an ugly-ass movie. Like, it's not appealing to watch. Everything is so desaturated and so dark and bleak and gray. And I know justice is gray, but fuck it, it's not pretty. The fact that it's not pretty though does make more sense in the fact that the color palette of the film better matches the actual tone of the film, if you get what I mean. It's no longer trying to kinda emulate an MCU movie. It really is what it is, and I think that's the biggest takeaway I have from Zack Snyder's Justice League. The movie knows what it wants to be, and it goes head on into what it wants to be. What it wants to be might not be what I want it to be, so it doesn't necessarily work for me specifically, but for anyone that's a big fan of Zack Snyder, for anyone that's a huge fan of his work and his vision for the Justice League and for how the DCEU should have been, then for sure they're gonna love this. They're absolutely gonna love this. The story is structured way better because they cut out some very random things. The big scene that everyone loved, the introductory scene for The Flash, didn't work for me personally. And yes, I will agree that it comes down to casting. I do think that most of the casting for the DCEU is inadequate. Not that these people can't act, it's just that I don't think they're appropriate choices for the characters. The villain's a bit better this time around. It still is the same villain. As we said earlier, there's a secondary villain, kind of like a background villain going on. Interestingly enough, the fact that they added that dynamic takes this movie even closer to the MCU because you have the kind of Thanos-Loki relationship. Anyway, the main villain, the guy that we're following, has more of a story, more of a little something going on, but it's still not too much to latch onto. The movie doesn't need to be 4 hours. Honestly, there are a lot of scenes that were added, or at least that were put back in, because they were taken out of the theatrical version. And these scenes are very important. There's also exposition dumps that are better handled. But I do think that certain fight scenes didn't need, like, the elongated cuts. I'm not saying that they're not well directed. I'm not saying that they look ugly. I'm just saying that they drag on for too long. They don't need to be as long as they are. I didn't didn't like the end. Yeah, I didn't like the end. There's a whole scene, there's a whole epilogue, because this movie is cut up into chapters, which I think worked very well. But the everything epilogue related, I didn't like. I like the idea and kind of the concept, but I didn't like the scenes in themselves. I would have preferred different characters, different dialogue, and maybe a different denouement to that whole thing. Anyway, that's it. Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's better than Justice League, though anything is. This pen is very much better than Justice League. I would rather watch this for 2 hours than Justice League. At least it's not loud and inconsistent and obnoxious, and at least it's not CG. But Zack Snyder's Justice League is better than that. I wouldn't go as far as giving it a good, because I just can't. I'm sorry. I know that a lot of hard work went into this. Mad props to Snyder's directing skills. He's a very, very talented director. I'm just not sold on the vision there. So it's an alright for me. Oh yes, the aspect ratio. I needed to talk about that. I don't mind, like I don't care, but I don't think it was necessary. Okay. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, do all those fantastic things, and I'll see you next time.